tracking carbs to stay under 20 grams can be a pain in the tush, but there's a way that you can do this where you don't have to track, you can stay in ketosis, you can have delicious meals, and stick to your goals. Having the majority of the foods that you eat zero carbs is one way that you can stay under that daily carb limit of 20 to 30 grams. And then you can fill in the gaps with very low carb vegetables like spinach, lettuce, avocado, even some fruits like berries, which all of these are going to help keep you full and they're going to provide essential micronutrients that your body needs. You might think that meat is your only option for zero carb foods, but think again. There's actually a lot that you can incorporate. And for the purpose of this video, we're going to consider a zero carb food anything less than 1 gram of carbohydrates. So let's go shopping so I can show you how to give up your macro calculator. And no, I'm not bringing the spatula to the grocery store. First up is the obvious zero carb food, which is meats. Anything from beef, chicken, lamb, pork, any of those, even wild game, are considered zero carb. For optimal nutrition, you want to try and find meat from grass-fed or pasture-raised animals. They tend to have a better fatty acid profile with more omega-3s. Some of the conventionally raised animals have a fatty acid profile that's higher in omega-6s just because of all the grains that they're fed, and this can be inflammatory. And I know that most of you are probably going to cross this one off of your grocery list, but organ meats is another good source for a zero carb food. They're filled with a lot of essential micronutrients like vitamins and minerals, but the only organ meat that's not 100% zero carb is liver, and that's because it's filled with glycogen, which is just basically stored glucose, so you might want to stay away from that one. But I probably didn't have to tell you that, right? Unless you're my dad, you're not going to be having liver. Bacon, sausages, deli meat, all beef hot dogs, pepperoni, salami, even some jerky, they're all considered zero carb foods. And since these are processed meats, it's actually best to look for ones that don't contain any sugar, dextrose, preservatives. You do want to try and go as clean as possible. And there are many ways to enjoy meat, from baking it, pan-fried. My favorite is to grill it. But you don't have to have just a single slab of meat on your plate in order to stay as low as carb as possible. You can actually have fun and combine some of these zero carb foods to make an actual recipe, like I did for my crustless pizza recipe. I used ground sausage, salt, Italian seasoning, layered it with shredded cheese and pepperoni slices on top. Then I put it under the broiler for a few minutes. And now you can easily enjoy pizza without any carbs. Seafood is another option, from salmon, cod, halibut, sea bass, smoked salmon, rockfish, tuna. These are all great zero carb seafood options. Just remember that some shellfish, like shrimp and scallops, can have carbohydrates in them, so those you'd want to eat minimally. One of my favorite ways to cook salmon is in the air fryer. It makes it so juicy and the skin gets really crispy, and it only takes a few minutes. Another great zero carb dinner option is bacon wrapped cod. Brush the cod with a little bit of melted butter and wrap it in bacon and then bake. It tastes just like lobster, even though it doesn't look like it, so you might have to blindfold your family if you promise them a lobster dinner. Eggs are another great option, and you can have them any way from fried, scrambled, poached, boiled. They can even come in a wrap, some of those egg wraps where you can just layer down some chicken or some ground beef, sprinkle a little cheese on top, and now you have a quick zero carb lunch. And if you get tired of bacon and eggs in the morning, well then just try mixing it up with a little bit of smoked salmon with your eggs. Scramble them all together, and it provides such incredible flavor with just zero effort and zero carb. When it comes to dairy, you could actually enjoy small amounts of it if you're trying to go as low as carb as possible, because dairy does have a small amount of carbs thanks to that lactose sugar inside of it. But heavy whipping cream has 0.3 grams of carbs per tablespoon. So if you're just having a little splash of it in your coffee, or maybe a splash to thicken up a sauce if you're making some sort of skillet dinner, then that would be safe. Small amounts of cheeses, as long as it comes on the block, like blocked sharp cheddar cheese. There's also mozzarella cheese, grated Parmesan cheese. Those are all great options just to use minimally. Most of us know that fats and oils are zero carbs, but just in case the movie Mean Girls convinced you that butter is a carb, I'm here to tell you it's not. But not all fats are created equal. Ideally, you want to stick with butter that comes from grass-fed cows. Also, avocado oil, coconut oil, and olive oil are safe options. And that's because they have a less inflammatory fatty acid profile compared to vegetable oils and canola oil, which can easily oxidize and form free radicals, which causes cellular damage, and nobody wants that. If you really want to be strict, you would just use salt for seasoning, but I encourage you to explore the world of herbs and seasonings and spices because they're going to add a ton of flavor to your food. And a lot of them are actually less than 1 gram of carb per like half a teaspoon. And in reality, we actually use less than that. Mostly it's just like a pinch or a dash on our food. Italian seasoning, onion powder, basil, thyme, oregano, even everything but the basil seasoning, those are all close to zero carbs and you can safely add them without worry. If you need to wet your whistle, water is the best option, but coffee, tea, sparkling water, these are all great zero carb options. Bone broth is also close to zero carbs. It has a lot of collagen in it and micronutrients and protein. So it's either great to use in a soup or just sip throughout the day. And for an after hours libation, stick with hard alcohol like tequila, rum, vodka, gin, and just add that to some sparkling water for a zero carb cocktail. And I try and stay away from diet soda. Even though it's zero carb, it could actually trigger some sugar cravings. There are also some snack options that are zero carbs, although I don't like to look at it as snacks. You should avoid snacking just because anytime you eat something, whether it's zero carb or not, you're gonna trigger a small amount of insulin to release. And insulin hinders fat metabolism, so not our friend. Instead, I like to look at these as add-ons to our meals. Pork rinds are a brilliant zero carb option. They're like the keto potato chip. Enjoy yourself an all-beef bunless hot dog with a little bit of mustard and pork rinds on the side for an easy keto meal. Jerky is another option, but just make sure that you're getting one without sugar. For something different, you can make pepperoni or salami chips. Just add them to your air fryer and cook for a few minutes. For additional flavor, just add a little bit of sauce. Sauces like avocado mayo, mustard, liquid aminos if you want to substitute for soy sauce, vinegar, hot sauces, all of these can be added to recipes. And you can even make almost zero carb sauces as well, just like my keto Chick-fil-A sauce. All you need is mayo, mustard, a little bit of sugar-free barbecue sauce, and some honey flavored allulose. This is perfect for dipping your chicken in. Speaking of sweeteners, most keto sweeteners are zero carbs. Look for monk fruit, allulose, stevia, erythritol. These are all great options. And you can even make zero carb desserts with it, like gummy worms or even cookies. In fact, I've done a whole video on this already. Just click right here to watch.